Greetings, my name is JC,
And I'm Ian.
and this is the Gamers Gaiden. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about weird video
We're gonna
games.
get real weird in here.
Yeah, I guess so. Hopefully not too weird. But before we start that, we're going to go into what we've been playing. So this week, I've been playing more of the Konami Anniversary Collection, the arcade classics.
Yeah, have you finished any more?
Um, yeah, I finished the Castlevania Haunted Castle game.
Okay. What was
Um,
your thoughts on that?
It was okay. It
Yeah.
was all right. It's very designed to steal your quarters. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to throw in a lot of money, like fake money. I'd hit triangle or X a lot in order to get through that game. But I kind of got to the point where it's just like I kind of want to see the end of the game now.
Okay.
So yeah, I just kind of just kept on going and going. But yeah, that and I was trying to get better at Thundercross. And maybe I'm not really sure. Beat it another couple times, so I might try and limit myself on the coins, but I'm not sure. Still having fun with it
Yeah,
though,
that's the
so
important thing.
yeah. And I haven't played League in a few weeks. Everybody was surprised to see me log in. And yeah, I played League of Legends a few nights this past week, and
Any ranked play or?
no, only there's like enough people on to play like 5v5s.
Okay.
So there were like we were playing like teams of 4 and teams of 5 or and stuff. And so we played that a bit. But another neat thing about League is there's a new champion coming out, which is like I better
Yes.
log on before this champion comes out, and
Because it is a support.
it is
It's a new
apparently a
support,
support champion.
which means they'll go straight into the jungle. But
Maybe. Hopefully not. But yeah, I'm excited about the new champion. It thematically looks cool. It's
it
kind
does look
of
really cool.
similar to the last few champions where they've been kind of like Disney-esque, like Zoe, for example.
Yeah, yeah. The cat riding on the book.
Yeah, yeah. The character's name is Yumi, apparently. Don't know the abilities of the character yet.
No, they kind of show
but
them a
they
little bit in the video,
yeah.
but it's hard to sort of tell for sure what's up.
So my guess is probably like a heal and a shield, or maybe it's the same ability. I don't know. Probably some basic attack ability because
There
they
seems to be
didn't.
some kind of dash.
Yeah, kind of like maybe a mixture of like Rakan and Sona is what I'm getting.
Yeah, and what there seems to be some kind of ultimate that is like wave based.
Yeah, and then to me the ultimate looks like a hybrid between Nami and Sona because
Yeah,
it was
it
like a
very much
pulse
so.
ability that sort of shot a couple times and like you couldn't really tell, but like maybe it does damage and it slows characters is my guess. I'm not sure. But I know there was like a leaked information about it, but I tried to just ignore it because sometimes those only have end up having to be half right. So I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'll just wait until they release what
which we'll
the
probably
official
get
is.
in the next like week or two.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's hitting the PBE, I think, this coming week. So I think that's the plan for it. So we'll know more of the abilities and stuff like that of that champion then, and maybe be able to try it. So that'd be pretty cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are the two games that I've been playing. Been yeah, just keeping busy with those two. So
Nice.
yourself, Ian, what have you been playing?
Well, I haven't been playing any League,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been meaning to jump back on, and yeah, with you back on, maybe I will.
Cool, cool.
I have been playing. I got back into some Horizon Zero Dawn. I never finished it,
Oh, okay.
and I
That,
I
that
mean
that game looks really, really fun. I have a copy. You actually got me a copy, and
that's right, I did.
I haven't played it yet, so sorry.
That's okay.
But that game looks really, really amazing. And you mentioned you hadn't beaten it yet.
No, I
So
hadn't
okay,
finished it, so I figured I'd jump back in and give it more of a chance.
right.
It kind of came out at a weird time for
Mm-hmm.
me because we were selling our house, we were buying a new house, so like everything's in storage. So I mean, I picked it up right when it came out, but I ended up having to like pack it away almost immediately.
So, question for you: did you recognize the voice actress?
Uh, no,
Okay.
no, because it's Chloe, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, her. You know what? It didn't register
Oh, okay.
to me. It doesn't. But now, you know what? Maybe thinking about it more
It's
when
like
I
her
play it
normal
next,
voice.
it'll be a little bit more. But she's the main character's a little bit, well, at least the way I play her,
Hmm.
I play her a little bit more toned down,
Right.
not as aggressive as you potentially could.
Hmm.
But no, so far I'm enjoying it.
Cool.
Probably like 4 or 5 hours in.
Oh, okay.
Not like way in, but
So did you start over
kind of
or?
enough that it's opened up for me at this point.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I went back in.
Yeah, that's what I hate about some of the longer games where if like you put it down for a couple months and you come back to it, it's just like I can't remember what's going on. Better start it again.
Well, I didn't get too far the first time through,
Right.
but yeah. So I got back into that, and that's kind of my main ish focus.
Right.
But I did hear that they're doing a huge update on Sea of Thieves,
Okay.
which I did really enjoy last year. I know it didn't
Mhm.
get the love that
Yeah, you
I
played quite a bit
hoped.
of it with couple of your friends and stuff, didn't you?
I unfortunately I only got to play with some people a couple of times
Right.
that I knew,
Mhm.
because they all got it through the free trial of Game Pass.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because that was when that first started, and then everyone's like, "Well, I'm not gonna get Game Pass."
yeah.
Even though, I mean, if you have an Xbox One, Game Pass is 100% worth it. You'd be
Right.
crazy not
It's
to.
very much like the PlayStation Network, and where like you get access to online and a bunch of free games and access to some other
Except
stuff.
with Game Pass, you get a ton of free content, and
Oh,
a
okay.
lot of their exclusives you're getting day one for
Right. Okay.
$10 a month, I think,
Okay.
around that.
So it's more similar to like Origin then.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
I gotcha.
but if you have an Xbox One,
Hmm.
it's I know it's an extra service that you're paying for, but
Yeah.
that game's
It's
library,
unfortunately kind of the norm
it's
now. So.
yeah, and you're paying for that library that you don't have to upkeep. You just kind of like, oh, new exclusive is out, like you get cracked. Anyways, they're they were doing a big anniversary patch
Right.
for Sea of Thieves,
Hmm.
and I don't think it's quite out yet because I know there's a whole bunch of single player, or not single player, but like more single player focused content.
Oh, that's neat.
Um,
Was there any single player content to begin with? I thought it was all like multiplayer content.
yeah, not I don't want to say single player. Single player is the wrong way to say it. More story driven content.
Okay.
More story driven. That's a better way to describe it. And you know what? I did see a little bit more of that.
Hmm.
Plus, there's a whole new section of the map, which is like volcanic islands,
Oh, cool.
with a central like major volcano,
Right.
which does erupt from time to time. We sailed right past it as it was erupting. There's a lot more um, like PvE elements.
Oh, okay.
So you have like they added in ghost ships a while ago. They
Right.
had the Kraken in from the beginning,
Yeah.
but he was kind of in a specific area, and if you went through, you could fight him, but you could also just kind of like skirt it.
Hmm.
And then they did a big event, I believe last summer with like a megalodon,
Okay.
but now they actually have added in more world sharks.
Oh, okay.
So you'll just kind of come across them randomly, and yeah, you can choose to engage them or not, but they're out there, they're swimming. It was really interesting. If it's something that you picked up and haven't really jumped back in, it's worth taking a look. They've added a lot of new content,
Yeah. Enough to
and
entice you to come back, basically.
yeah, and they've changed the way some of the missions work. You can pick up these like bigger missions now
Oh,
instead
okay.
of getting a specific faction.
Are they like quest lines or?
Essentially a quest line,
Okay.
except you'll get a series of the three types of missions.
Right.
So you'll have you'll get a couple treasure maps, you'll get a couple bounties for the skeleton crews.
Okay.
You'll get like a merchant quest as well,
Right.
which now you go to a place and pick up things
Hmm.
instead of having to load up crates, go find an island with either chickens or pigs, capture them, sometimes capture a specific colored one, and then take that to a place. Now
Oh,
you're
okay.
just going to a place, picking up like X amount of crates, loading them onto your boat, and then taking them to a destination
Oh,
by a
okay.
certain time. So it's a little bit more interesting. I mean, I'm not going to talk about it all day, but it's it's worth checking out if you've got it. If you
Hmm.
do, send me a message too. I want to play with you. Uh, but the most important thing I played this week is Katana Zero on the Switch,
Okay. Cool.
and it is fantastic. If you have played Hotline Miami,
Oh, okay.
which I loved,
Hmm.
it's another murder puzzle.
Okay.
So yeah, you're except this instead of being the top down, this is a 2D side scroller,
Right.
and you're a samurai. It's that whole like one hit kill.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes one hit to kill your opponents, takes one hit to kill you. But you do have these really interesting time control mechanics. I say mechanics, but it's really only one.
Okay.
In that you can slow down time
Oh, okay. Kind of like bullet time.
a little bit like bullet time.
Okay.
But it gives you time to react. You can do things like deflect bullets with your.
Is it like a meter that you can only use it for so long?
You do have a
Or
meter, yeah,
okay.
and it does have to recharge. So
Right.
if you hold it down, like it recharges pretty quickly,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if you hold it down for that long duration, you're gonna have a hard time.
I gotcha. So it's
And
kind of like the Viewful meter and Viewful Joe.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
But it is really really good. It's not as long as I would like it to be,
Oh,
but
okay.
it does end with it to be continued. So
Oh,
it's not finished.
how long is the game?
Um,
Did it take you
I
like maybe 4 or 5 hours to beat it,
I've
or?
I've probably put in 5 hours, but some of that is just me being bad
Mm-hmm.
because some of the puzzles are a little bit more challenging,
Okay.
and some of the boss fights are a little. I I struggled to get the pattern
Right.
because sometimes once you get pattern number one,
Okay.
as
So is
it
it
takes
like one screen that's a puzzle, or is it like one like entire board that's a puzzle?
it's one entire state, like you have a whole stage.
Okay.
Um, then basically like it's like door to door,
Mm-hmm.
and then it might be uh, it could be a screen,
Right.
it could be several screens long.
Okay.
There's actually a really cool elevator. See, I mean, everything has to have an elevator level, right?
All side-scrolling beat 'em ups have to, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really neat because you elevator down, and then you don't even see the stage.
Okay.
You see it as the door opens.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes there's something right there, and you've got to react really quickly, and
Right.
then you die, or. But at least it lets you start over from the elevator door opening. It doesn't.
Okay.
You don't
Not
have
all
to
the way
keep.
back. You got some checkpoints in there.
Yeah, there are some checkpoints throughout it, but then there are some really long sections that are just. I know in that same area,
Okay.
there is like a stairway portion, which you have to go down like 10 flights of stairs,
Right.
each with a landing and each with various opponents
Yeah.
and different combinations. Yeah, it was kind of challenging. You
Mm-hmm.
can get all the way to the end and then just kind of mess up something and die, and you have to start all the way back at the beginning again. But the gameplay's great. If you liked Hotline Miami, it's similar gameplay but 2D side scroller instead of the top down shooter.
Okay.
Um, yeah, soundtrack's amazing. A really good
Yeah. The music.
retro wave.
I saw the trailer for it, and it looked fun. Yeah, the music was kind of pretty cool. And
And the neat thing is he starts each level by popping on his headphones
oh,
and
okay.
hitting play on his tape player,
Right.
and the song and artist pops up.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not I think it's like two or three different artists that did the soundtrack. Like
Sure.
it's not something as big as Hotline Miami where there
No,
was
there
a
was
whole
tons
bunch of different retro
even
wave artists.
the DLC packs or the expansion packs for Hotline Miami had their own like
Yeah.
long list of music too.
So this isn't as crazy, like it's only a couple of artists, but
Yeah.
the music is fantastic. If you dug that, the story's really cool, a very like neo-noir
Yeah.
dystopian kind of setting.
80s future.
And it gives you there's these really great dialogue sections.
Oh, are they like Ninja Gaiden? Do you remember those where it was like like a widescreen panoramic, and then you'd see like text on the bottom, and then like it would
I
like
do remember those.
yeah.
No. They're
That blew my mind as a kid.
these are just
I was
I
like,
know, right?
what?
No, these are just like they're interactions. So you
Oh,
actually get to
okay.
pick your dialogue.
Oh, okay, cool.
But they have this neat little you have so long to pick what you want.
Right.
But there's always this brief little red section,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get one option in red, and you can interrupt somebody.
Oh, okay.
And there are actually some situations where
Mhm.
that's your best way to interact with a person.
Right.
Is just keep cutting them off and like, yeah. And the story is very similar to Hotline Miami, where it's kind of these really cool action sequences
Right.
intercut with these really weird story sections.
Okay.
Where you're not really sure what's going on, and you're piecing it together as you go.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of like as you follow along, you're like, oh, and little things start making more
Right.
and more sense. There are things that
It,
still don't make sense to me,
is
but
there a new game plus to this game, or is it just like the one
there
game?
has been some sections I found where you can have uh, like through dialogue choices,
Okay.
you can end your game.
Oh, okay. So there's more than one ending.
Yeah, I found at least two endings,
Okay.
so there might be more
Right.
as well. I'm not sure, and I really hope um, that to be continued is just like they're gonna put out more content. Or
Right.
I mean, I would even I think it was $20.
Okay.
Yeah, I would pay $20 for Katana Zero Two.
Yeah. Yeah.
I for sure would. There was even there's even a couple other characters you play as. It's really cool. I'm
Cool.
not gonna give it away. Pick it up if you liked Hotline Miami. If you like side scrollers,
Mm-hmm.
check it out. It's worthwhile for sure.
Sounds.
But
But
it's time to get weird.
time to get weird. All right. So our segment today is weird games. So we're gonna go through a bunch of weird games, and I'm gonna start. This game is probably the weirdest game I've played. I showed it to you.
Yeah.
It's definitely out there.
Yeah, it's
It's
weird.
called Baby Boomer, not to be confused with Baby Boomers from the 50s. Uh, but this is an NES game that uses the light gun. And essentially, you're trying to help a baby get back to its mother.
Yep.
And it auto scrolls across the screen, and there's a ton of weird obstacles that you
Yep.
have to shoot.
Don't shoot the baby.
Don't shoot the baby. You will kill the baby. And you have to shoot the milk bottles to make sure that the baby has enough milk to continue moving forward.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't remember ever passing level 2 or level 3. But I played this game in the early 90s. We rented this,
Okay.
and it was because it used the light gun, and it was like, oh, cool, another gun game. And
There was nothing about the title. I mean, even just looking
I
at the
was like
box and the
6 or
title, I'd be
7.
like, so you shoot babies?
I guess. I don't know. I don't even remember it having a box.
Okay,
It's a
yeah,
fuzzy
right.
memory. But yeah, so we played this, and I don't remember playing it very long. But
I can't imagine why.
yeah, it's freaking weird. And
Yeah.
the weirdest thing about this is I had forgotten about this game for a very, very long time until maybe 5-ish years ago. I was in one of the local game stores, and lo and behold, Baby Boomer was sitting there, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I know what this is." And the store owner was surprised. He's like, "Really? You know what this is?" So I told him the story about how he rented it, and I bought it off of him because I was like, "Well, I have to buy this."
Clearly. How could you not?
It's got like a really weird like baby blue case. It's not an officially licensed product either. Like
Oh,
I
isn't
doubt it
it?
would ever get past the Nintendo's.
Yet again, I can't imagine why it wouldn't be.
Yeah, but this is probably the weirdest game I've ever played. Not for the sense of like it being weird, just like this actually was a game.
Yeah.
I'll put a couple of screenshots up during our conversation of it just so you can understand what it looks like. But
I
there is a let's play out there that's like a full walkthrough of it.
that's
That's
what
what I
Jay-Z
showed you
showed me.
in.
And there's a
And
lot of levels, and I was really surprised at some of the level choices.
yeah, and
It looks like you take the baby through hell at one point.
yeah, and the weird thing about this is the let's play. I think it's on World of Long Plays, but the let's play makes the game look really easy. But if you pay attention to like how soon and quick these things actually hit the baby, like
Yeah.
there's like spiders and rats and stuff like that, and they come out with like
Skeletons?
skeletons. There's not a lot of like reaction time, so you
No.
probably would have had to memorize a good portion of the level so that you know where to be pointing the gun to stop these obstacles in
Yeah.
time.
And some of them drop out like right next to the baby.
Yeah, they're like probably 2 sprites away, and
Yeah.
then they just drop like from the cloud above its head, and it's like cloud, space, baby, and yeah, it's weird. Yeah, Baby Boomer for the Nintendo. I don't
Baby Boomer.
recommend playing it, but I do recommend looking it up.
Yeah, yeah, it's worth looking up. It's worth looking at in that it
Yeah,
exists.
and the no one controls the baby. It's a auto scroll, so it just walks across the screen, and there are endless pits, like bottomless pits. Sorry, that the baby can fall in, and you have to like hit certain objects to like create ice and stuff like that, so that the
Yeah,
baby can get
shoot
across them.
clouds that somehow make ice
Yeah, they're different
bridges.
colors, and
It's
yeah,
weird.
it's very weird.
That was a good pick.
Yeah, yours, Ian?
Um, I picked up my version of this in the UK.
Okay.
So when I got home, I was a little disappointed to see its North American title
Mm-hmm.
because the European title is way better, which for me was Project Rub. Yeah, Project Rub.
Yeah.
And over here, it's called Feel the Magic.
Right.
DS game.
Mm-hmm.
It took advantage of a lot of the functionality of the DS. Like you would use the microphone, use the touch screen, all the stuff that you would want. It came out
Yeah.
fairly soon after the game had, or after the console had released.
Right.
That was why I picked it up. I had one game for my DS,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it was Mario,
Okay.
Mario 64 DS. Yes, and yeah, like
Right.
this was great.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and I've seen this game and I knew of it, but I'd never actually played it. But you showed me some video footage of it.
I showed JC some video footage. You're trying to help a guy get a date,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing so through a series of mini games.
Yeah, like everybody does.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like rubbing the dirt off of the girl.
Mm-hmm. Like you
Saving
do.
you had exactly
Sure.
just like that. There's a bowling
That one was my favorite.
where you have like
It's like a mixture of Frogger and bowling.
yeah, you've got like cars passing on the street, and then a dude turns into a bowling ball, and you like line him up against some dudes like wiggling on the other side of the street,
Yeah.
and you have to like bowl. Yeah,
Because that's how you
it
get a
helps you get a
date.
date. You know, whatever it takes.
I mean,
Uh,
I guess the idea of a game with a whole bunch of mini games is pretty cool.
yeah, I mean it is just a series of mini games, but it is really weird, and I feel like they actually got a sequel to this. Because I should have looked that up beforehand, and I apologize, but I feel like the Rub Rabbits, who were the team helping you get a date,
Okay.
actually got a second game.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they did. Either way, Feel the Magic in North America, or for me,
It's a prequel called The Rub Rabbits.
the Rub Rabbits.
Came out a year after? Yeah, a
Like
year after.
this is definitely
And Sega made this game,
probably
by
well known. It's a little bit more well known than some of the other things on this list.
the
It's
way.
definitely more known than Baby Boomer,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
it is weird if you've never checked it out. Take a look. The soundtrack is odd.
Yeah, it was like one song.
That was JC's comment after watching a couple different of the like few or a few of the different mini games. Was like, do they just play the same song over and over again? And I'm like, yeah, there's a couple different, but yeah,
Mhm.
they really like the one song. But
Yeah.
so Feel the Magic, and then I've got another series,
Right.
which was Magic Pengel and Graffiti Kingdom,
Yeah.
which were basically the same.
Mhm.
They used the same kind of mechanic. It was a little like Pokemon, except instead of capturing creatures, you would get more ink
Right.
to draw your creature.
Okay.
So you'd start out with so much, I guess, marker power,
Right.
and you could draw whatever you wanted. You could just draw a blob if you wanted,
Mhm.
or like a dog with half of a leg, because you didn't have quite enough to like
Okay.
make a full thing.
Or were you completing stencils or were you just drawing anything?
Just drawing anything.
Oh, okay, cool.
A lot of dicks.
Probably.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you give people the opportunity, they're gonna draw a dick.
I guess so.
Yeah, and then you pick its like fighting style, which was basically rock paper scissors,
Mhm.
and yeah, you would battle your weird drawing against other weird drawings that had been created in the game.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cool.
there wasn't a whole lot to the first one. Graffiti
Right.
Kingdom had more story to it,
Okay.
but still like similar gameplay elements.
Right.
Yeah, they were both on the PS2. Kind of strange. It's it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
If
There's
you
been
if you
other
like
games with
Pokemon
those.
and or rock paper scissors
Mm-hmm.
and drawing
Yeah.
dicks, then you might like.
Or whatever you want.
It's probably dicks.
I guess so.
I feel like you've got a better one than that though, JC.
My next one is called Bouncers. It's a Sega CD game, and I didn't know about this game until I got it in a lot of Sega CD games.
I
So I
can't
bought
imagine why.
on eBay. I bought a lot of like Sega CD games. This was one of those games, and I popped it in the console and then started playing it, and I'm like, this is weird. Who would have bought this? Someone did.
Who was it for?
I don't know. So this game, to explain what it is basically you're a basketball, like literally the basketball
With arms and
with
legs.
arms and legs, yeah. And you can choose one of many. I think there's like 8 or 10 of them. And you go through a series of different levels, and you bounce yourself off of the stage or each other and the walls and stuff like that, and you try and get as many points. And I don't even know if there's real rules for getting 3-pointers or if there is.
I did when you showed it to me.
Yeah,
I kept hearing
3-pointer.
3-pointer. Yeah, 3-pointer.
But yeah, so there's like an ice level, a prehistoric level, a haunted house, like a space, like moon level.
The haunted house was really cool because the
Yeah.
nets were skeletons.
Yeah, and their
No,
rib cages were
the rib cages were the net. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so you just constantly try and get points before the timer's out, and then if you win, you go to the next stage. That's literally it. And it's got 3D CG animation things, which have like it's like it's as if the developers were like, we have to put a story in with this.
But there was no dialogue.
There was yeah.
There was like.
There's
Yeah.
just random craziness. But yeah, I think I played this for maybe 10 minutes and then put it down. And I feel like I probably would have done the same thing as a kid. Not to be really harsh and critical about the game, but
It looks pretty good.
it looks good. Yeah, and it's got like a CD backing soundtrack on it, which is I guess another pro. But Bouncers, yeah. Not to be confused with The Bouncer. But anyway, yeah, Bouncers. Your basketballs, have fun. That's my second game. Yeah, check it out. There's gameplay footage of it. And it's yeah. What you see
if
is
you're
what you
super
get.
into basketballs,
Go play NBA
but
Jam.
not players, this is your ticket right here.
Yeah, I guess so. Yep. But you have 2 more?
I do. I have a ton of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yenya Cabalista.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm saying that right. Another PS2 game. This is a skateboarding game.
Yeah, you told me about this, and I was like, what?
I did. I rented this like forever ago from a Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And it came with a little fingerboard
Mm-hmm.
that you would click down over top of the analog sticks.
Yep.
And you would actually hold the PlayStation controller this way,
Mhm.
and you would control the skateboard.
Right.
It was really weird.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, I went back to that Blockbuster like years later when they were clearing stuff out.
Yep.
And they had it sitting there. And I'm like, does this have the little skateboard with it too?
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, cool. I think I paid $10 for it
Oh, sweet.
with the little skateboard. It's like Tony Hawk, if Tony Hawk wasn't that good.
That's a fair assessment.
If
I do remember this game coming out, so
if I don't know if you remember, but there was an arcade skateboarding game where you stood on a skateboard
yeah, I do recall that.
and you could pretty much just do like you could kind of like
Ollies and
Yeah.
moving left and right.
that's about it. And that's about what this is. You know, you can do some spins and stuff, but as far as like complex tricks go,
Yeah. But the greatest part about this game is the plot. Like,
that's right. You have to So there's aliens
uh-huh.
on Earth and you have to get rid of them. through cool tricks.
Air quotes on that cool part.
Yeah, because as I just previously said, you can't. It's not like Tony Hawk where you have to like chain together these massive combos. It's like, here's a 360 spin,
Right.
and they're like, dope. We're out. That's
Or like,
there's not a lot to it.
yeah.
It's if you've never played any of the like the Tony Hawk games or Skate,
Yeah. There were
anything with
definitely
a skateboard, if you've never played any of those and have a PS2, try it. You might be like, this is really cool. And then try any of the other skateboarding games that you could probably get your hands on, like any of the Tony Hawks or
Skate or
Skate.
Die for the NES.
Let's not go nuts. Skate or Die was not that good. But yeah. Yeah. Weird. Fingerboard.
Mm-hmm.
Best controller. Also, some people will know this. I don't know if you knew this, but when the Xbox 360 came out, this is something completely different. Burger King, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they would release a 3-pack of games.
Mm-hmm.
So if you went in and bought like a sandwich combo,
Yeah.
you could get a game for I think $5,
Mm-hmm.
or all 3 of them, because there was 3
Right.
for 10. And
I do remember them doing this. I have never played these games.
what was kind of neat was that they were playable on the original Xbox as well as on the 360.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
Like
you
the same disc?
Yep. So
Huh.
you could play them on either or.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the 3 games, which I guess we'll start in quality order, because Pocket Bike Racer wasn't bad.
Okay.
It was kind of a kart racer, but on a tiny little motorcycle. It was competent, right?
Right.
Like, there was Big Bumpin',
Mm-hmm.
which was a bumper car
Okay.
kind of combat. You had like the arena, and you'd pick your little like bumper car, and all. They had a bunch of different maps, and
Mm-hmm.
you'd bump into people. It was okay. It was probably worth $4. And then you had Sneak King,
Okay.
which was a stealth food sim, or like a stealth food game.
Right.
So you would play as the king.
Mm-hmm.
You would sneak around various environments
Oh, okay.
and unleash food on people.
like throw them at them like a food fight?
No, like boop, here's a sandwich.
Oh.
You know, someone would be like, "Oh, I'm like really hungry," and your mission would be like, feed these like 4 hungry people,
Burger King.
and you'd have to like sneak around and be like, "Bam, sandwich."
Yeah.
It was so weird. So weird and creepy, because
Yeah.
the king's pretty creepy as is. I don't
Yeah.
know if they still use that in their marketing.
Probably.
I mean, why not? He was creepy, and creepy is in. But yeah, this just made him so much creepier.
Mm-hmm.
You would sneak, you would hide in things, and then like be like, sandwich. Yeah, it was odd. If you can find Sneak King,
Mm-hmm.
try it. Like I said, the other 2, they weren't that bad.
Right.
But Sneak King is super weird. It's the one I never hear about when people talk about the Burger King games.
Right.
They usually talk about Pocket Bike Racer, because
Mhm.
it was all right.
Yeah, it was
It was
actually
for
fun to
sure
play.
$5 worth.
Yeah.
But Sneak King, wow, that's a gem. So JC,
My next one is Catherine. I played this
Ooh.
on the PS3, but it's available.
I played this on the
also
360.
360 and the PC, I believe. It
Yes.
is available now on the PC if it wasn't available
and it
originally.
will be coming out shortly on the PS4.
Yeah, and they're apparently looks like a remake.
There's
of it
added
too.
content as
Yeah.
well.
So I actually think this game is kind of cool. It's a puzzle game and like a dating simulator, sort of.
Kind of.
So it has a really quirky story. Basically, you're some guy who's a slacker essentially, and he has a girlfriend, and
A guy who's a slacker with an attractive girlfriend.
so and then he falls asleep and he goes into like this dream nightmare, I guess. And you're a sheep thing, and you try and solve these. It's a puzzle game with these blocks, and you can move them around. I'm not doing this service, but this is the basics of it, and you have to basically try and get to the top. And they
Yes.
keep on adding in new mechanics and content to them, and they to get larger and more complex. And it's good in the sense that the game starts off really, really simple, and then eventually it gets to like a quantity of like difficulty that isn't as simple as the original ones because they're trying to teach you the game.
Yeah.
Because the objective of it and the puzzle is kind of out there in comparison to some other puzzle games. There are some parallels to other puzzle games that are out there, like moving objects around to try and like make matches and stuff like that, which is kind of like you can see a parallel there, sort of. But yeah, and so the bottom of it constantly disappears, and you have to get up, and it's timed. And you got to get out to the doorway, and then whenever you get to the doorway, the dream ends, and then you continue on with the story. What's also cool about the puzzle game aspect of it is there is like a multiplayer aspect to it. You can play with another person.
Oh,
So I think that's something that's being added.
I didn't know that.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And because the puzzle game is actually kind of fun.
Yeah, the puzzle game's really cool.
And then there's a whole other aspect of it where you're this slacker dude and you're kind of like fighting between two girlfriends, both named Catherine. And
You have your girlfriend
mhm,
Catherine with a K,
yeah,
and then you get kind of drunk and end up sleeping with Catherine with a C.
yes, who's a succubus kind of.
Sort of, yeah.
And she's really clingy, and your other girlfriend doesn't necessarily know what's going on, and you have your friends who hang out at this one bar, like a restaurant kind of.
Yeah.
And there's a story that revolves around you and your decisions, and then you can kind of like there's multiple different endings to this, which is kind of cool based off of your actions and your choices, and you can kind of go for like one Catherine or the other essentially. And then it goes through the story plots in between each of the day sequences, and then the night sequences whenever you're like dreaming or you doze off and stuff like that. You're in this horror place where there's like all these other people, and you're trying to get up to higher and higher levels. And you sometimes see people who you know in the real world, for
Yep.
example, and they're all trying to do the same thing. And it seems to kind of be like hell for people who are in love, basically. And their objective is basically get to the top, get through the next day, more plot points accelerate and happen, and then you continue doing like A B over and over again until you finally get to the climax of the game. I found the puzzle game aspect of it really really fun.
Yeah, the puzzle game's really good.
And I found the story mode of it really interesting as well. Because like if you like anime or like slice of life anime where there's like characters who are dating and stuff like that, then you probably would enjoy this. If you don't like puzzle games or you're terrible at it, there's actually a story mode for this too, so you can just play through the actual story of the game too. So you can get it either a point, or you can just there's a mode where you can just play the puzzle game as well, which is kind of neat because it caters to like all different points where it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, I just want to try and see a different ending now that I've beaten it, and then like I just played my second playthrough with just kind of like quickly going through, and then it makes everything like super easy for you, and then you can just kind of play the game. Yeah, it's a game that I think more people know about now, but whenever this game was new, there were some pretty good praise and articles about the game because it's a game by Atlas, or Sega owns Atlas. So it's a game made by them, and I don't think as many people knew about it whenever it came out, and I didn't see as many people
No,
like talking about it or making let's plays about it and stuff like that.
it was for sure in short supply when it was released.
Yeah.
Because I know that I was I was working at a store that sold stuff, so I
Mm-hmm.
I bought my copy of the like box
Right.
because it came in a pizza box because it's
Mm-hmm.
a pizza shop that you hang out at.
Right.
That's what it is. So it came in a pizza box with the dude's shirt,
Mm-hmm.
his heart underpants,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what he wears in the puzzle
Yeah,
sections.
he has like
Little like
little
ram
horns,
horns.
and he's wearing his heart boxers.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
everybody else is sheep
Yep.
in the puzzle set. Except, like you said, you do run into some people that you
Yeah.
recognize, but it's loaded with sheep.
Mm-hmm.
It was so weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting topics that this game sort of covers. And there's a lot of really weird and interesting like double entendres and just like sideline things that sort of are happening that don't really relate, but it's like, oh yeah, like this is a worldly thing that's kind of like people do and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the reasons why I found the story mode of it interesting. It took a little while to get into. It was probably like the third or fourth level of the puzzle part, third or fourth puzzle, about that far into the game that I was starting to actually get like, oh, like let's play this more, right?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a little uncertain about the game, but it's actually really really fun. I would definitely, if you like those types of games, or if that sounds interesting to you, to highly check it out, or somebody else's.
And it is for sure getting a new release in the fall.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you will be able to pick up a new release of it in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to go hunting for it. If you have an okay PC,
Yeah,
you can pick it up right now.
yeah, yeah. So Catherine,
Catherine's great.
you're next.
Cubivore
Mm-hmm.
for the GameCube. Um, it yeah, you start out as like a cube
Right.
with a mouth, with like one little kind of like flap behind you,
Okay.
and you kind of like sort of like move about, and you eat other cubes, smaller cubes,
Okay.
and eventually you find a bigger creature who has like an extra flap on him,
Oh, okay.
and you eat that extra flap off of him, and then you can add that flap onto yourself.
Oh, okay. So you're like gaining the power of the things that you're eating.
Yeah, so basically you're going through they are like marked flaps, like they'll have some kind of marking on them.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that I remember that stood out to me was there was one with a paw. But yeah, and you get to choose where this flap goes.
Oh, okay.
So you have your like cube head and then one flap that comes off of you to
Right.
start. So you can put your second one like off the back,
Mm-hmm.
and you can make yourself legs, like cube legs, I guess, like
Mm-hmm.
two little cardboard. Uh,
Stubs.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really interesting, and like it, you increase your power. If anyone, I'm gonna make a weird game reference within a weird game reference, but if anyone has played EVO
Okay.
for the Super Nintendo, it's kind of similar to that,
Right.
where you're just going through levels, eating things,
Mm-hmm.
and then almost like essentially gaining evolution points.
Right.
And like the further you go, the more you run into aggressive creatures and things that you actually have to fight instead of just like mowing away on everything.
Right.
But it's a very odd little GameCube game that if you can find it, it's worth checking out. I
Mm-hmm.
know it's not the easiest thing to come by, but check out a Let's Play or something. It's very, very weird.
Cool.
But also sneakers
Yeah.
for the Xbox. This game's bad. Don't look for it. Maybe watch 5 minutes of a video just to understand.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Toys R Us exclusive game.
Right.
You could only get it at Toys R Us.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough when I was younger to have an acquaintance who worked with Microsoft,
Okay.
and he was able to snag me a copy of it
Cool.
because by that time it had like all but disappeared.
Right.
And I it was like an ongoing joke within my friend group,
Mm-hmm.
sneakers, and I got it, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool. I'm gonna play this,
Mm-hmm.
and it is like an on rails platformer.
Okay.
It's not good. It's not good. You play as a mouse. You sneak around. Um, it's bad, but it's odd.
Yeah, you showed this to me. It looks very simple. Like
I mean, it's a Toys R Us exclusive game. I mean,
yeah.
they're not.
What
You're not
budget are
gonna
you gonna throw
have
at a game?
like a GTA 4
Mm-hmm.
for Toys R Us. Like that's
Yeah.
even a GTA 4 for the Toys R Us crowd. That's yeah. I would check that out. But no, it's bad. It shouldn't exist. It does exist, and it's weird that it exists.
Yeah.
Just that's all. Find a Let's Play. Watch like 3 minutes of it. Yeah,
Then you're good to go.
you're good. You're good.
Fair enough.
JC,
Uh, we've talked about this series of games a few times on the podcast
it's one of my favorites.
But it is weird.
It's incredibly
And
weird.
especially like the first impression of this game, especially whenever it came out, it's just like, whoa, this is weird, but I like it. The Katamari games, yeah,
Yep.
everybody seems to know about it now, but
Yeah,
they're
it's
really really fun. They're definitely out there, and like they added new mechanics with the new versions of them. So maybe pick up
this.
one of the newer ones
This
or the
is
remake.
probably the most well-known weird title on here.
Probably,
Like it's yeah.
yeah,
Everybody knows this, but there's no denying how weird it is.
yeah.
But
Its
the
music is quirky and weird and
but
fun.
the music is
The art's
fantastic.
yeah.
The art's
weird doesn't
amazing.
necessarily mean bad in all cases,
No,
right? Like I
except in
said,
Sneaker's case.
sure. Like Catherine is it's a great game,
True, yeah,
right?
and
But it's still weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, like its music is really quirky. The graphics are cell shaded, are really fun. The story of like the father figure talking to his
Even
little
like
kid is
even
like
the
weird.
father, though, like he is so there's so many weird choices
Yep.
in the way they made him. Like
Yeah.
with the
You can tell the developers had a lot of fun making this game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just as much fun playing it. Yeah, it's I just want a VR version.
how is there not a VR
I don't
version of
know.
this?
I'm not sure. You think there'd even be a knockoff of it? Yeah, you just use the wands.
Yeah,
Move
just,
'em around. Yeah.
that would
Maybe
be
in the
amazing.
PS5 era. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But yeah,
There's-
Katamari is my last weird game that I have for this list.
I've got a couple more.
hmm
First off, I'll mention Seaman.
Yeah, I was gonna put this on the list, but I've never actually played it, so I didn't think I could do it justice.
I didn't play a ton of it. I found it somewhere, like complete with the microphone and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy. And it didn't cost very much. And I got home and I was super pumped. I popped it in. And like, it starts from an egg.
hmm
And like, I mean, Leonard Nimoy narrates the, I guess, story? He gives you like a brief explanation.
Right.
And I think he talks more throughout the game,
Okay.
but he doesn't voice Seaman.
No, that's somebody else.
Yeah. It's just so weird.
Yeah, it's a fish with a human head and like a antenna thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just and like you interact with him through talking to him,
Mm-hmm.
which he learns things from you.
Yep.
He can turn into kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the game's sort of like a Tamagotchi that sucks. And I don't think Tamagotchis are the greatest thing ever,
Right.
but you can at least like interact with them every couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I found Seaman, I was just kind of staring, like sitting, looking at the screen.
Yeah, because doesn't that game continue while the game is off using the
Yeah.
battery? So like you can
If
come
you-
back to it the next day, then
And if you don't interact with him for like a couple weeks,
Right.
he'll just die.
right.
And you'll have to start, like, you'll have to get an egg and
Mm-hmm.
start from scratch.
Yeah.
But like I remember sitting there and I'm just staring at this egg and I'm like, what do I do with this? And like the only thing I could really do is tap on the glass
Oh, okay.
of the tank with the controller.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like looking at it and like nothing's happening.
Guess I'll come back in a few hours.
And I'm just like, this is going right back up on the shelf. And that's about the interaction I had with Seaman, but this is strange.
Yeah.
There's no arguing that.
Mm-hmm. I do know there's there is a fan base behind the game who do really like the game.
I do not doubt that there's people that really enjoy Seaman.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's definitely a weird concept for that's for sure.
lastly, I just have some some honorable mentions
Okay.
for some like current Steam titles.
Right.
You can grab any of these right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one I'm going to mention is a huge recommend for me.
Okay.
I think it is one of the best party games ever.
Mm-hmm.
genital jousting.
It's exactly like it sounds.
Exactly. It's a whole bunch of floppy dicks.
Mm-hmm.
It'll play, I think, up to 12?
Oh wow.
Either 12 or
I didn't
16.
realize there was that many
It
players.
plays a lot. Yeah. And you've got like a bunch of different series of mini games. Like you have like you can just pick like a random pack.
Right.
You can do a 1 versus 1 date night,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cute. Um, yeah. Then there is a full like single player story mode.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably 4 hours. It was way longer than I expected.
It's as long as some first person shooters.
I paid like I think $1.50 for it when it was in early access.
Oh, okay.
And it was one of those games where they just kept releasing content and then they released the game
Right.
with a full story mode that was like hours long about like learning about yourself and like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
check it out. It's weird. It's dicks. It's uncomfortable slightly, but give it a chance. The story mode alone is worth it.
Fair enough.
But also like Shower with Your Dad Simulator 2015,
Okay.
where you got to pick a kid. That sounds wrong. You play
Yes,
as
it does.
you play as a youth, and you have to the shower pops up or a bunch of shower stalls pop up, and you have to run to your specific dad.
So it's like a matching game.
This is basically,
Okay.
but just a really awkward matching game. There's Poop in My Soup, where you poop off of a building.
Okay.
There's like I think 4 different levels too,
Okay.
and you do various damage pooping
Fair enough.
off of a building onto people and items and dogs, and ew, it's weird. And What's Under Your Blanket, which just look at it. And finally, Who's Your Daddy?
Okay. I've heard of this
The
one.
ultimate 1 versus 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. You have someone plays as the parent,
Yep.
someone plays as the baby. Parent has like a brief head start to try to child-proof some of the house,
Yeah.
and then when the baby is unleashed, it has to try to kill itself as quickly as it can.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Like grab a fork and plug it into stick it into a plug.
You can
or-
turn on the stove and put yourself in the stove.
yeah.
You can throw yourself into the pool.
Yeah, a lot of streamers were playing this game. It
Oh
looks
my-
kind of funny.
You can drink bleach.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You can surprisingly kill yourself in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it's atrocious.
Hmm.
But kind of hilarious, but also kind of horrible.
Hilarious in a bad way.
But that's the wonderful thing about like some like Steam content
Mhm.
is you have a ton of messed up things. And
Yeah.
that's just like those are just scratching the surface. I mean, you've
Mhm.
got like Mount Your Friends, which I mean, if you want to see odd-faced super jacked dudes climbing on top of one another, Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, which is one of the most irritating games in the world.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can get real weird on PC real fast,
Yeah.
and that's not
It's-
even getting into any of the like visual novels, like the one that you really like.
Oh, Doki Doki Literature Club?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah, I guess that technically is kind of a weird game.
Hatoful Boyfriend
Mm-hmm.
with the pigeons, Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, which is more charming, but still kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, PC's great for getting weird,
For weird games, yeah.
but we want to know what you guys like. That's
Yeah.
weird,
Yeah, that's the list of the games that
or that you don't like. That's still weird.
yeah.
We want to know.
Let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
excited.
If you made it this far in the video, help us out by giving us a thumbs up. That really helps us.
It does.
Especially with the algorithm. And share the content with people who you think would also find the content amusing or good. And
Or people who just want to get weird
or people who just want to get weird
this week.
this week. Yeah. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Later.